gonna get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back seat! Tell me where you are, John!
Wolfman's got Nards!
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Conjuring universe. Now there has been a confirmed Conjuring 4 coming out. We don't know when it's coming out, possibly 2024, and it was inevitable that it was going to be announced because of the success of the Conjuring universe. We've also got the Nun 2 coming out in 2023, which is going to start filming soon. I think they're in pre-production just now. But the Conjuring universe has always been an interesting one for me because every time they announced a sequel to the Conjuring, when they did it back in 2013, I always had one specific story in mind for a sequel to the Conjuring, and I'll tell you about that in a second. It just didn't happen for the Conjuring 2, and then when they announced the Conjuring 3 was coming out, I thought, okay, this is their chance to finally do this specific story, and they didn't do it again, and I thought it's a wasted opportunity. But now, out of all the times I've announced a Conjuring movie, now is the perfect time to do the story that I think they should do, and I'll tell you why. Now, as you know, the timelines for the Conjuring films, as well as the Conjuring universe films like The Nun, etc., they're all set in specific dates or specific years, and it's all over the place, as a universe would be, sort of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's similar with the Conjuring ones, but one thing that I did notice in the Conjuring universe, especially the Conjuring specific movies, is the last Conjuring movie, The Devil Made Me Do It, that took place in 1981. So you would expect, because Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are getting older themselves, you would expect them to still continue on in the timeline later on in the years, and that's kind of what they've done in the Conjuring films specifically. They set the first Conjuring movie, I think it was 1971, I believe, with the Perron family, then in 1977 with the Enfield poltergeist and the Conjuring 2, and then The Devil Made Me Do It in 1981. So you would only expect the Conjuring 4 to take place after 1981. Now, the one story that I always had in mind that I think is the perfect story now would be the Smurl family haunting. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Smurl haunting, it's a haunting that took place in Pennsylvania between 1974 and 1989. There was a film about it called The Haunted in 1991. It was a TV movie, and if you've seen the movie, it featured Ed and Lorraine Warren, but we'll get to them in a second. The story again took place in Pennsylvania in 1974 to 1989. The Haunted is one of the scariest films I've ever seen in my life. Even today, it is dated. It is a TV movie. It stars Jeffrey DeMunn and Sally Kirkland, for those of you who don't know, and it is terrifying. Even today, it's still terrifying, even though it's very cheap looking. But like I said, Ed and Lorraine Warren feature in that film, and you might be thinking, well, if you wanted to go in the timeline that it should, then surely it should be set after 1981. Well, it can do, because although the haunting started in 1974, Ed and Lorraine Warren didn't investigate the case or even go to the house until 1986. So that is where we would include Ed and Lorraine Warren in this timeline. Sure, we can start the film in 1974, get a build-up of what's happening in the Smurl family, leading up to 1986, when Ed and Lorraine Warren take part in this investigation. I think that would be a perfect way to introduce the Smurl family and also reintroduce Ed and Lorraine Warren, and also Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are a couple of years older, obviously, since The Devil Made Me Do It, so it would only make sense for them to look a little bit older. I also feel that since The Haunted came out and nobody really saw it, it's very untrustworthy, not just for the movie itself, but for the story itself. The Smurl haunting itself is a haunting story, and if you've read the book as well, I think it's called The Haunted, A Family's True Nightmare or something like that. It's a haunted story. So I think out of all the stories that Ed and Lorraine Warren have investigated over the years, I think this is the one that always comes back to me, mainly because of the TV movie, but it's just so scary itself. Some of the family are still out there. Unfortunately, some of the family have passed away over the years. I just think it's a perfect time now in the Conjuring timeline to include the Smurl haunting. I did want it for part 2 and part 3, but it just wasn't the time. And I think that if you want to reintroduce the scary ghost aspect of the Conjuring, this is the time to do it. I think The Devil Made Me Do It took us out of that realistic realm within the paranormal. I know that paranormal is not 100% accurate anyway, but I think The Devil Made Me Do It took us a bit too far outside of that realm. I think they need to hone it back in again, or phone it back in again, as some would say. Bring it back to the paranormal roots. The Smurl haunting is a perfect example, sort of like the Perrin family from 1971. It's a similar storyline. I just think they could tell a story really well with the Smurl family. I think that would be the best angle to go. Like I said though guys, there is still time for them to change or write this story, because it's not official yet. Well, it has officially been announced, but there's no specific date been announced yet. So there's still time to wrap up that script, decide what they want to do. Maybe a 2024 release would be the most realistic year for them to bring out the movie, depending on when they start filming. But there is still time for them to decide what's going to happen. The chances are the Smurl haunting might never see the light of day again, but I'm hoping, I'm praying that the next Conjuring movie is the Smurl family haunting. So what are your thoughts on that, guys? A couple of questions for you. Have you seen The Haunted? If you have, or whether you haven't or not, if you've read about it, do you think the Conjuring 4 should be about the Smurl haunting? If you don't, what do you think the next story should be in the Conjuring universe? Leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.